Welcome to the international poetry scene. This Toronto at the Fringe 2021. And my name is Magnus Gren, and I'm going to bring you through this. And we start with Rasha Alqasim from Gothenburg in Sweden. She's going to read in Arabic. Rasha, the scene is yours.
مشروع فتاة عاقة. ليس لدي أدنى فكرة عن بر الوالدين. من صغري وأنا مشروع لفتاة عاقة. أدلق الزيت في غسالة الصحون نكاية بأمي. من صغري وأنا مشروع لفتاة حالمة. أهم الارتداء ملاءات واسعة. أجلس أمام تيار هوائي يعبئ الملاءة بالفراغ، ثم أضع فناجيل كثيرة وأتخيلها بيت شعر. ليس لدي أدنى فكرة عن بر الأبناء بالآباء. سجلت شكواي في سري في دفاتر اقتنيتها بحجة كتابة الشعر، وكنت سيئة بما يكفي لأفشي أسرارهم للجميع، سيئة بما يكفي لدفع الشبهة عني وإلصاقها بأقرب فرد أصادف. أشياء لا علاقة لها بالوحدة. أنا ربة بيت بائسة، لا أحفظ جدول أعمالي مسبقاً. أطهو الطعام كظرف طارئ، من صحن إلى آخر أركض. أعد مآدب لعوائل كثيرة. أتخيل بيتاً يضج بالفوضى، صحوناً كثيرة أتلفت، ملاعق، أقداحاً، ممالح، شوكات، سكاكين. أشياء لا علاقة لها بالوحدة. أشياء تصلح أن تكون خارج هذا البيت. أنا ربة بيت فاشلة، أتأبط أوراقي، وأينما حلت فكرة كسرت صحناً خشية أن تطير شحارير الكتابة. أنا ربة بيت نحيفة، وهذا جدير بالمعرفة أنني لا أتناول ما أعده من مأكولات. أنا ربة بيت مهملة، لا أعرف مقاديرا للطبخ. أضع الأشياء فوق بعضها ثم أرشها بما تيسر من الدعاء لتنجح هذه المرة على الأقل. أنا ربة بيت دائمة التنهد. طبخي ساخن مهما بردته، إذ إنني دائما ما أنفث عليه تأوهاتي. أنا ربة بيت حزينة، أثثت الحرب بالأحبة فأثثتني بالأشياء التي ظلت بعدهم. أنا ربة بيت وحيدة، أطالع الأطفال العائدين من المدارس بحزن، وكأي أمية أتعلم كتابة كلمة طفل بعناية من يمسد شعره. أنا ربة بيت غائمة، اغتنيت عن الممالح. دمعي تلقف مهامه في تنكيه حياتي. أنا ربة بيت ثرثارة، هواء البيت ما عاد فارغا وخفيفا لفرط ما حام فيه صدى صوتي. أنا ربة بيت منسية، نجحت في إقصائي عن حياة الآخرين وظفرت بالوحدة الكاملة. أنا ربة بيت لا مبالية، لكثرة ما عاثت بقلبي المسافات اعتدت فعل الحنين واستسلمت للألم وكأنني غير معنية به. أنا ربة بيت منهكة، مفاصلي غيرت رأيها في الصمود، أتتبع الطريق واقفة، وكلما لوح العابرون لأحد توهمتهم أشاروا لي. أنا ربة بيت مجنونة، أترك إنارة المنزل متقدة كل ليلة، لأوهم الجيران أن العائلة تشاهد فيلم السهرة، وأن العائلة لم تزل عائلة. أنا ربة بيت ساذجة، لا أتعظ من الجروح التي تسببها أدوات الطهي. أنا العسراء، كلما ارتدت يدي انكمش على قلبي الوجع، ذكرتني بالندوب. أنا ربة بيت خائبة، أفكر بك فتحترق الطبخة. أنا ربة بيت مهووسة، ولتني الوحدة مهاما ممتعة للغاية، كأن أكوي بزات أبي العسكرية، ولتتأخر الحرب قليلا أتعمد حرقها، كأن أغسل ملابس إخوة سافروا، ولأجد مبررا لانتظارهم أدلق الماء عليها باستمرار. أنا ربة بيت دائما ما أسهو، أحمل لزينة الملاعق ببهجة منتصر، فترتعد يدي كرد تأنيبي. لمن حزمة الملاعق هذه؟ نحن الآن 12 ملعقة. لمن؟ ذاكرة اليد أقوى، كيف تنسى اليد تلويحها للراحلين. إلى بلاد حلم، حين سحبوا من عينيك قصار النظر، أرادوك أن تبصر أشياء بعيدة، أن تنسى ما قد رأيته في الأمس، أن لا ترى الوطن، أن ترمي حسرتك إلى بلاد حلم. تاك.
Thank you, Rasha. Now we're going on a line with Pankhuri Sinha from India, and she'll be taking part of his Pilsner Poesi and Poetry Pint under the pandemic that have been run from Dominic Williams, Wales. So Pankhuri Sinha from India.
Thank you so much, Magnus. Such an honor to be here online, and I wish the pandemic situation improves. Is my audio okay, Xanthi? Can you just help? Is it okay? Okay, great. Thanks. So I am going to read a poem which is about celebrating the arts, the written word. I'll first read in Hindi from my book of poems, कीतल रातें. नदी किनारों की भाप से, शब्दों के अद्भुत वितान में, असीम अंबार में, विस्तार में, अनंत आकार में, रूप निराकार में, जैसे बसती है ढेरों खुमारी, गर्म प्रदेशों की विशाल नदियों के किनारों की भाप से, जंगल के धुंध से, सपनीली खुमारी, हो जाना उसी का बाशिंदा, बस जाना वहीं, कि हो नहीं ठौर कोई और, कि कहाँ जाए कोई. And now the English version of it, translated by myself. Like the misty vapors of river banks, in the wonderful canopy, the words, in their endless reservoir, expands, borderless shapes, tangible forms, resides afar, hypnotizing, transporting, uplifting, like the mist-filled vapors arising from riverbeds of tropical lands, like the forest fog, a dreamy trance, becoming slowly an inhabitant of that fabled land, living permanently in those marshes. And those marshes alone, like nowhere else to go. For only words can fulfill, only words can save this world. Thank you so very much. Should I read another poem? No, that's good, right?
Yes, please, Pankhuri, read some more for us for like 5 minutes or so.
Okay. I will have to take out, find out, I mean, just open a file. So can maybe Xanthi read and then I can come back in? Is that possible?
Well, we're going to the next poet, and maybe Pankhuri come back later. Dominic Williams from Ferryside, Wales. So I've been involved with Cultiveras at the Fringe since 2014, and running Punch and Pines and Pilsner Poesi for a long time. Welcome on stage, Mr. Williams.
Thank you for your kind introduction, Magnus. I'm going to read a selection of poems from this volume. It's an anthology of international writing that has all been inspired by Tronos. But there's a small section of my poems, so I'm only going to read from that section. The first poem is called Red, and it's about my experience of traveling back to Tronos for the second residency that I curated. So it references some of my memories from the first. Last night I saw a stranger, a Trojan dragon wrapped in the hot breath of my nation, stumbling towards his master plan. My friend wished me to fill my heart, but my heart is full to aching already. I am full of leavings and returnings. I stole a kiss from the sleeping angel. I saw Yeats in Green 02, early morning tryst, so close to the amphitheatre that once held the promise of 1,000 years, now labelled by a celebrity monarchy and Thomas Slinks. Remnants of memory in me and on me, a tunic of the Celtic performance stolen from the playroom amidst the wisdom of Lucas and the innocence of the psychedelic squaw child. Pure gold again replaces the Caribbean warmth we guiltily spilled in the first endless day. A pair of tattered black Levi's, a wordy summer affair, a new hat, and in the hold, in black and white, the key to Castle Koch. Okay, Strawberry Princess is about a trip to Trollhättan, about a new friendship that I made while here in Tronos. I think I'll just mention Hruathlon is a character from Welsh mythology who he married a mermaid who came out of the water, and she would stay with him forever unless he struck her. If he struck her 3 times, she would return to beneath the lake. And he did so, not out of anger, not out of spite, but just in some terrible, terrible accidents. And he did 3 times and lost her. Summer breezes irresponsibly, leaves moist still. My waking hours are suddenly very lonely. I had a lucid dream. I ate the strawberry princess, saved her from the giant pike. She fed me wild from the rock face and made me Hruathlon. I met every man and every woman who ever existed. You could have ruined my curry, been through the mill, but I forgave you, just as I murmured my permission. When I stroked my beard, I could taste the colors of wildflowers, drifting clouds, the beauty of poetry in pavement chalk. Okay, Went Gently is a response to Dylan Thomas's Do Not Go Gentle Into That Good Night. It was written for my mother, and it was written about my father's death, his passing. And I wrote it the first time I came to Tronos. And it took me a long time to write that poem. My father had already been dead for 7 years. But this is for my mother, Went Gently. The sailor with a head full of fire, dancing on Mumble's pier and scaling heights. So fragile now. Man of stick in linen. I tease you, want to make you mad, want to see you double up with foolish hoots. But you are raging, and I do not know. Raging like a red dwarf. Oh, my father, you have given me the hardest task. To stop a blazing, a blessing is required. I have to tell my mother to let you go. And so an Indian summer's kiss gently opens your eyes for a last smile as you pass to me a duty to protect your wife. And she now, living fire, burns like flaming June. This poem, The Table, was written very possibly one of the first times I met Janice. We were in Moas and we did a workshop led by Derek Coyle. And this is a poem that came out of that workshop. He was rushing us along at a fast old pace, changing our directions every 2 or 3 minutes. But this was from an image. It's called The Table. The cobbled streets of the old town tired her mind. She had circled the palace so many times, carrying coachloads of tourists. The single ember of a failed marriage had levered into her words and documents, international acclaim for systems and procedures, total quality assurances, the Japanese philosophy of sharing, a love of giving, aros am hiraith, she sighed. The ache of absence in happiness. One day she will be the low tide lapping around the legs of 2 empty chairs placed deliberately before 2 full glasses of wine on a small table. So this is letter, which is literally what it was. These words were written on a piece of paper, put in an envelope, and sent to, again, another friend that I'd met, a writer who I met during the residency. I'm not waiting, for there is no time, no season. Like Doctor Who, we warp to the space-time continuum, spun Tronos hours around a spindle called present. In great waters, I am never lost. I am threaded to the shore where my words shape your body. Friendship is immediate and dialogical, a clumsy undressing of toughened skins. You stripped me later with an empathy so intense, it filled space and excluded place. Passion pared away epidermal grip, slowly laughter sliced another layer, and the careful scalpel of understanding bared me further. I bore you baptismal from the Somme, marking our creative communion. Alanteo fingers fashioned waxen wings. Intimacy, razor sharp, skinned me. Your heartbeat makes me cry. You ignited the very salt in me, cleansing energies, raw, open, vulnerable, but burning. I demand your purity and integrity like oxygen. Uncertainties we share like kisses. Your touch is unknown, yet when I see your smile again, you will cradle my embryonic soul in your virgin palms, defenseless, but safe from when or where And once all is dissected with these beautiful instruments, what is left but love? Okay, Toronto South is a poem that I wrote after one of those wonderful walking trips with Magnus that I'm sure you've all experienced, one of his historical tours of Toronto. It's called Toronto South. I am a rather elderly man. I remember my father's mantra as he patted his pockets before leaving the house. Money, pass, cigarettes, matches. They brought me here after the railway. I was at the birth of the crane. They have taken the place where my grandchildren worked. They have moved them outside of the town that is home. As a child, I played here, creeping through magic gates, to dance leaping from log to timber on this lumber-laden street. I remember my sad friend who built his castle, crashed through the timbers with the weight of the bankers. I remember the beautiful boy who went to England, but returned to a tragic Stockholm alley. My brothers and sisters knew Vigans and the promise afforded by stretched skin. I have rehearsed my funeral march, proud stallions down the Storgarden, erected a graveyard plinth. They will put me in a home, so close to a new path, to an old forest. I remember my father was a sailor. He never learned to swim until he left the sea. Tack så mycket.
Thank you, Dominic. Lovely to hear these Toronto's connections. And Dominic going to come out with a book in Swedish later this year, hopefully, called Galen man på tåg, Madman on Train. And now is Janice D Soderling. So, Colin, could you please help her? Janice lived in Sweden since the early 60s, and last year published 3 books. Green Ivies, Over the Graves, Trala, Room and Closet, and Make That City Desolate. Janice.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Magnus, for that introduction. It's lovely to be back at the Fringe. I've made many wonderful friends at the Fringe in Toronto over the years. I'm going to read a few short poems. I am mainly a formalist poet, so these are, except for one, in received forms. Because we because we have discussed translations earlier this afternoon, I'm going to read a translation of one of Sweden's most popular poets, Dan Anderson. This translation was in a American magazine edited by Anna Evans, who is English but transplanted to the United States. And the name of it is, in English and in Swedish, is called Ballad. My passion was born in the lusty spring, at the strand of the river, tumbling blue. Wild honey I drank in the years of my youth, in meadows drenched with midnight dew. My passion was born at Paiso River, where pike go hunting and salmon flail. It was a song that sang itself, a wild man's drink, a music man's tale. It seethed in my blood every swelling spring, born, reborn, to tempt and to claim, a song that impassions an entire world, making earth and the heavens flare and flame. And never again will I love so, as a Paiso strand amidst roses bright. My passion is old, and starting to gray, and can no longer find wild honey at night. And this next poem is a sonnet, which is currently online at Literary Bohemian. Literary Bohemian is a highly acclaimed international literary magazine. The editor, Carolyn Harris Zukowski, is American, but also, like so many of us, transplanted to another country. And she's also the person who is responsible for my last 3 books. The title of this is Watching a Late Afternoon Thunderstorm. Outside, the raucous rain comes pelting down. I've one time watched in curious surprise, both ruin and rapture pouring from such skies, replete with thunderous drums and lightning crown. I've seen dull nature shift from brittle brown to budding pinks and preening butterflies. I've also, excuse me, I've also watched the cold rain brutalize the makings of a flowering fairy town. Before and after rain reigns such extremes of ruinous fire, indifference, and ice that to the sheltered looker-on, it seems the ecstasy of storm scarce worth its price. Instead of passion's moods and ruckus schemes, a balmy summer drizzle would be nice. It's a bit daring to read a ghazal. In this company, we've had Arabic poetry, Arabic poets this afternoon. But this is the only ghazal that I have managed to incorporate my name in the signature couplet, in the Makhata. Ayla writes to her lover, I will wait for you in Zanzibar each night. The velvet sky destroys our star each night. My longing feeds on cinnamon and cloves. Grief cuts me like a scimitar each night. Swahili scars and lames my fluttering tongue. I go there in a motor car each night. Bangi is my balm, and I go bolder. There comes a message from the Tsar each night. Salt winds gently touch my secret places. I hunt my prey, a sleek jaguar, each night. Thareb is what I dance when I am sad. My rich wine turns to vinegar each night. Habibi, I will not always be young. The bald beachcombers pack the bar each night. The Dutchman pokes my sister, says, yeah, nice. I study my heart's crimson scar each night. This next poem is a prose poem, and it's going to be in one of my forthcoming books. It hasn't been published in any magazine. The name of it is Brain. A small cramped space full of names without faces, and faces without names. Secondhand furniture with peeling paint. Well-thumbed memories illegible in the dimming light. These convoluted gray folds holds the inherited pain of a long line of dysfunctional generations, holding tight to family Bibles and private scandals. Here are endless shelves of books with missing pages. Some contain a pressed flower or two, whether from a funeral wreath or the hand of a lover, nobody knows. Here's a drawer full of creased documents no longer important. A birth certificate, letters of recommendation of termination, a carefully scissored obituary with 2 dates, Alpha and Omega. Down winding corridors leading nowhere, shuffle 2 stooped questions asking each other, Why had I kept this? Why did I throw that away? And finally, a poem that was recently in the Red Door, which is based in Copenhagen and is edited by Elizabeth Torres, who is often here, but not this year. However, she has come online and you can see her work from, she's had a podcast every morning. So I recommend you to watch that. The name of this is Immortality. When hand seeks hair and skin and wet and breath comes quick and sweet, when mouth eats mouth and hunger still, when tongue and eyes entreat, when lovers twist and turn and coil and bend and lift and cry, who thus endear the little death, have little fear to die. Thank you.
Thank you, Janice. And now we're going online again with Xanthi Hall from Greece. And like Pankhuri, she also have turned up on this international Poetry and Pint with all these pandemic times. So from Greece, Xanthi Hall.
Hello, good evening. Thank you, Magnus, and thank you, Dominic, for inviting me. It's wonderful that we can participate from around the world now to this great events, which you have been going to for years. And I want to start my reading with the newest edition of a book, which I was very lucky to be the editor for the Greek version. It's called Beyond the Language, and it just came out a few days ago, literally. So I'm going to start with my own poem, which is called Poetic Habitat. Poetic Habitat. The poets live in their poems. They are born in them. They grow up there. They are raised by the words, in the spaces they breathe, in the punctuation they rest. And even when they leave, they exist in the white of every paper, at the edge of every pencil, and in the endless possibilities of each language. Now I've prepared to read a few poems. So the next one is going to be also from an anthology which has been published in India, which is called May Love Heal the World, which Misna Chanu has invited me to. Meeting point. Where our souls walk lightly, like in a dream, where you crochet our future in lace and show your desire in the sunlight. This is where I want to meet you. Now the next one is published in a few anthologies. Amongst them is also The Poet in England, and it's called Unexpected Collection. I think it is the first poem which I've joined Dominic Williams in one of his meetings. Unexpected Collection. I collected sun, mountains, and seas from the universe to make your dowry. I went to talk to the nights so that the stars will write your future bright. I sat down to hear the sound of the flowers, the colors of the birds, so that your life will be full of beautiful shades. But when I heard the sound of your microscopic heart, my life was filled with music, color, and light. Now, the next poem is dedicated to China. And I think also Pankhuri and a few other people took part in this competition. And we won a little bit something. So I'm not going to mention what we won. This poem, because it was so difficult to write something about a country you've never been, I took some inspiration from a song, which is from Nazim Hikmet, speaking of Arabic poets, and Wolf Biermann. It's called If Half My Heart Is Here. From Nausa to Yan'an, just a click away. If half my heart is here, my other half is in China, sang Maria. And now I know why she wanted to be there. To see the pagode of Qingliangshan, to walk along the Yellow River, in the footsteps of the legends, in the footsteps of the revolutions, and the stories of the poor, to see at Huku Waterfall the rainbows arising for the simple people, the dragons interchange on the road towards a miracle, to grow from dust the forest again, from barren to paradise. If half my heart is here in the heroic city of Nausa, my other half is in China. In Yan'an, I'm picking red sweet apples from fresh planted trees at the slopes of the mountains, with fresh air and clean water, turning time back, writing a promising future. If half my heart is here, my other half is in China. Now, I've dedicated a poem to transformations, and one of those transformations is what we are living at the moment with the coronavirus. And because yesterday a friend of mine died from that, which was younger than me, I would like to read this for her, and also for a friend who was from Sweden. Her name was Inga-Britt Tombulidu Halfquist. I think I'm saying it right. And so it goes out to Sweden as well. Metamorphosis. Homage to Franz Kafka, dedicated to the people which were lost in the pandemic. When the numbers were still numbers, there was no fear. There was just a suspicion, a precaution, perhaps an understated one. But when the numbers began to take shape, to become flesh and blood, to become beloved faces, to become parents, grandparents, brothers and sisters, or children, then each number alone began to become a giant. In the beginning, there was a hope, a light that life will win, health will kick in, the immune system will jumpstart. But as time progressed, the giants always have the upper hand, like fates which come with an invisible sword to cut the thread of life with the indifference, like an evil unknown force without any warning. It is rumored that there is still a little warning, a bell that rings only on the inside of people. Some call it an underlying disease, or others call it carelessness, and still others hide behind what they call personal responsibility, because they themselves did not want to take on their own responsibility, the political one, for public health, for their people's well-being. That is why the giants are transformed into crosses, into fires and pyres. Slowly, slowly, but steadily, a large number of numbers will become crosses and fires and pyres, or tears and cries. Each cross will have its own invisible entourage of faces beloved, life companions, sweet mothers, brothers raised with tenderness by sisters, and laughter, or even children with unspent dreams worth living. Others will have to learn how to breathe again, how to speak, how to swallow, not just the truth, but food as well. Learn how to walk again after being in a coma for months, having lost muscle mass and bone density, after being wrongly intubated, wronged. How to regain freedom of mobility, of speech and breath in a post-pandemic pandemic. Others will give in to the belief that we are just stardust and seek their neighborhood in the smile of the skies. Tell me when to stop. I have prepared a few more. So these ones are love poems, which I have prepared, 2 of them. The title is Deleted. I have deleted all the possessive personal pronouns, the words got poor. Deleted all the plurals. There is no us anymore, even if you still are or will remain forever in my heart. At some point in the very near never, we will meet again. The immortal, unseen fire still in our eyes of unlived love, even after you have erased our future. And one which has still to do with lockdowns, because yesterday it was announced that one of our villages just around my town is again under lockdown. To the capitals of lockdowns, our days didn't get brighter, although spring is here. And even now that all the roads are open, there is nowhere we could go. Here in this lane, we will survive until our true values will shine like equations with mathematical precision. And I think I will finish with the dash. Yes. The dash. Don't count the years, the months, the days, the hours, the minutes, the seconds, the data, the dates, and the promises, the wrinkles around the eyes or on the faces. Rather, remember the smiles, the hands we gave, the souls we touched, how we filled the trivial dash between dates of birth and death. Thank you.
Thank you from Xanthi Hall and that strong COVID poem you have there. And we started with Arabic language, and we close this event with Arabic language. Now it's going to be Ali Thareb. He's from Babel in Iraq, and now an icon writer in Jönköping. And he has a book in Swedish called En ömsint man från knivarnas rike. The scene is yours, Ali. Welcome.
محاولة لتقليد بطل سينمائي. شارع عريض محاصر بالأشجار. البطل على دراجة هوائية يتقدم في الشاشة. خلفه امرأة مرة تحاصره بذراعيها ومرة تتركهما حرتين في الهواء كانا سعيدين. حينها وقفت بجانب السرير ومددت ذراعي أمامي وبقيت أرفع ساقا وأخفض الأخرى متخيلا أنك خلفي ورأسك فوق ظهري. كنا نضحك كثيرا ولم أدرك أنني في نزهة مع الألم إلا عند اصطدامي بجدار من البكاء. درس من الوطن. تعلمت الطائفية وأنا تلميذ، وأن أبي رجل شيوعي فقط لأنه لا يصلي، وعرفت أن القساة يذرع من نار كمعلمة التاريخ التي كنت أعتقد من شدة ضربها لي أنها تود دفن عصاها في جسدي، ومن أجل العلم كنت أصرخ بوجه كل شيء بينما أرتعد مثل غصن في باحة المدرسة. استعمال طفل ميت. تفعل الأم بطفلها أشياء عديدة بعدما يجففه الجوع. تربطه بذراعيه حبلا وتعلقه برقبتها كتعويذة، تطويه وتفتحه برفق كي لا يتهشم منه شيئا، تدحرجه بقدميها كحجر في الظلام، ترفعه نحو الشمس ليلمع كسكين، تدقه على الجدران ليكون كلمتها الأخيرة، لكنها كل يوم تتدفأ به وتسحب الدموع من ساقيه وصدره لتبقى مؤمنة أنه مليء بالماء والنار. Tack så mycket.
Thank you, Ali. And now we end this international poetry selection at Tranås at the Fringe. And tomorrow is a new day, Friday. Gonna be morning poetry at 9 o'clock. Please look at it and listen.